will get clicks is the fact that I pressed go live, and it's live. Kamui, the fact that it's live means we're gonna get clicks now, just like what we were talking about pre-stream in the Discord that everyone should join. Hey, and here's a link for anyone that wants to. I'll pin that, and it's in the description if you're watching afterwards, and everything else. And you should join.
Speaking
because...
of clicks,
yeah.
you know what else you should click? You should click the subscribe button. You should click the like button. You should click the comment button. And you should click the join and become a member button to get members only videos every single day.
Just like Space. Space, lie and say you're a member. But yes, member videos every single day is actually important because it's the end of the month. And if you've been listening, then you would know, starting June 1st, the beginning of the month, I'm going to be uploading a members-only video every single day, as well as cutting down from 3 videos a day to 2 videos a day to test algorithm reasons. And we want to say that at the beginning of every live stream so everyone is aware of it for when that happens. So yeah, we're going to be trying that out next month and seeing if it works.
So become a member and make it work.
Space says, yes, I am totally a member. I enjoyed my favorite members videos. Robot emoji. So there you go.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And we do know that Immortal Phoenix and Daigo are members, as well as the other guy we became a member the other day.
Yeah, thanks to that guy.
And if you become a member, we'll remember you too.
We promise.
That's so bad.
Okay, so Kamui, since the title of the stream is Kamui Wants to Talk, Boruto TBV Vortex, why don't you tell everyone why you're forcing your dear friend Oodie to stream?
Well, I'm forcing my dear friend Oodie because he forced me to read his Discord post, and they forced me to message him, and he forced me to respond to his responses, and that just became stream.
And here we are, with a slight headache, but here nonetheless.
Because around these parts, as the #1 hyperactive knuckleheaded podcasters on this platform, we don't give up so easily.
Unlike
Cam,
Cam,
it's going to take a lot more than a headache to knock us down.
Yeah, but
Unlike
Cam
as
will
you said.
be knocked down. Why? Because she made plans after making plans.
Yeah. He went back on her word.
YouTube chat
that is
isn't going to
not
understand
Naruto's Ninja Way.
Yeah, so for those that missed it, we do Twitch live streams. I don't think that's actually in the description. We should probably add that, by the way. So I'll
Problem?
probably should, yeah. So we react to anime on there, you know, the thing that we literally just can't do on YouTube or whatever. So how do I go to like our channel? Here we go. I'm just assuming that
you have to confirm we're actually live.
Oh, okay, there you go. See, yeah. So for those that want to see a 4-hour live stream, the first what is this? The first hour and 30 minutes is us talking about Hunter x Hunter. I didn't realize it was that bad.
And not the anime we were reacting to.
For those that want to go see us react to Platinum End, it's over there. But also talking Hunter x Hunter for an hour and a half. So there you go.
And you might just see us reacting to the Chimera Ant arc of Hunter x Hunter on there too. And not anything else, because otherwise Oodie and I will start arguing. But I think the Chimera Ant arc will be mostly safe.
Okay, speaking of argument, I'm glad you brought that up, Kamui. So I'm going to share my screen. So there's been a lot of topics that I've written today that you wanted to cover, it sounds like.
And not the one you're trying to segue to.
So you did read all of that, huh?
And you already know, if you say it out loud, we're just going to argue.
So what you're saying is we should save it for the next Cam stream.
What I'm really okay, I can be willing to accept that compromise, but what I really am saying is we should never talk about it on stream.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it off stream.
Let me rephrase. We should just not talk about it and move on.
So what you're saying is you disagree with it.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Okay, so moving to Boruto topics.
Oodie, the best part about us is, even though we can just disagree infinitely, we can both just move on and forget. Because if we just don't bring it up, I will forget forever.
Exactly. Like, it's always the thing of like, okay, this was the last thing that me and Kamui argued about, and I don't remember the thing before it at all. So that's every single time we argue about something new.
Exactly. And what's the argument? At least for me, once that stream with the argument's over, I'm done. I'm moved on, and that's that.
Okay. I mean, that being said, I at least made some good points, like about the fishing pole thing. But hey, we can get to it at a different time. But yeah.
The fishing pole thing was about Gon, right? And your like Nen stuff, right?
Yeah.
That I'm fine with, like
Okay.
being like a discussion point. But what I specifically mean is like, at least for me,
The parts where
I
I was
don't
just
want to
overly
like
mean.
recap the bickering part. So like me saying, "Oh, you're just being mean to Hunter X Hunter." We don't need to recap. It's just like us, just when we just say things, you don't need to recap that. But like a new point, like the fishing pole thing, like that's like a thing you can bring up, and like that makes sense to bring up. That's different. Yeah. So that's basically what I mean there.
Okay. I was gonna. Oh yeah. Okay. So speaking of other things that I've written down that isn't the Hunter x Hunter thing, but is relevant to the previous YouTube stream we did, and also we could also segue to the picture thing that we did as well. So okay. So moving on from that. Back to Naruto. Okay, we have multiple different areas we could go. We could do this Jura rewrite. We could save that and go to Boruto topics to do the topics.
I really want to talk about. I'm sure you already know your Damon thing. Like, I'll let you take the center stage, but like, I want to do a video on how will Boruto and Jura get out of this, and you've completely sold me on what I absolutely be the number one and why it would be the best.
So glad.
Because I wanted Demon as one of the options. But you've just entirely sold me on it being the best option in every way. So
okay.
I want to I'm gonna make hopefully I make it before next chapter. What? I have about 3 weeks. Okay, let's try and keep that to 2 weeks to make this video. Okay, don't let me forget. Okay. If a week and a half's gone by and I haven't started, you send me a message.
Well, stream, this is not only literally what the title is directly referencing, the one specific thing, but also the thumbnail as well. I just preemptively made it Damon because I knew this was the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you saw my response.
Yes, and in fact, I'm glad that you mentioned Code because whereas I thought of him, I didn't actually like write about him, as you know, because I guess it just didn't cross my mind to write him down. I felt like it would just go along with everything else I was already explaining, so I felt like it was almost unnecessary.
Exactly.
But it's good to write down anyways, just for covering our bases.
Exactly.
Okay, so Kamui, what will allow Boruto and Jura to survive this fight? Well, I think Boruto
will be saved. Should we just read every other line as if it's like we're going back and forth?
We should. Well, okay. We could if you wanted to. Not every other line,
let's just try it.
We try it in a way to where it does sound like a back and forth rather than strictly sticking to every other line.
Exactly, just like the Jonathan Oliver thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'll start over. So Kamui, what will allow Boruto and Jura to survive this fight?
I I think Boruto will probably be saved or bailed out, basically. And I think it'll be by a singularity of fate, which we already know has at least the potential to change the future.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm like 100% absolutely biased towards wanting to see this, but I unironically, just bias aside, I think that what is most likely is for Damon to come and beat up Jura, and Jura leaves, similar to what Code did versus Damon. I think this is what's most likely.
I think this is no. Okay, no, sorry. I want to do every line like that, so I think this is most likely.
Okay. We already got the setup of singularities of fate being able to change things, and Koji's literally talking to Ada right now.
We also know Ada wants to have a conversation with Boruto, and she does like him. I don't just mean like the fact that he's cute. Like she just genuinely seems to like the person that Boruto is, and she actively dislikes pretty much everything that's been happening with Kawaki. So it's likely that Koji, by talking to Ada in real time, is actively changing the future with every little bit of information he tells her that she didn't already know.
Yeah, well, not only that, but also don't forget that we haven't seen Damon pop off in a long time as well. And so it's not even that, but like we haven't even seen him like do anything in Two Blue Vortex itself. And we know that Ikimoto wants to keep it like separate from Naruto Next Generations for whatever reason. It's treating it like its own different manga. So, but we know that Damon is also the only singularity of fate strong enough to actually do something and or make a difference. And when I write that, I don't, for the record, by the way, I just want to say, I don't think that Damon is currently a singularity of fate at all.
He's not considered one now.
Yeah, but I think that's completely okay. And if Ada sends him, that doesn't make him a singularity of fate. It's like if Boruto tells Sarada something but doesn't make Sarada a singularity of fate, then she still isn't, but she would still alter her course of action to change the future.
Exactly. So similarly, Shikamaru is not a singularity of fate, but he's been told to send people on the Sand Village mission per Code G's like plan.
Yeah. And I do get into like
this, similar,
because like at this point I feel like singularity of fate has been overly simplified to where people don't even remember exactly what it is. I do get into what a singularity of fate is specifically later and how that is relevant to this.
Yeah. Because as of right now, the only three are Koji, Boruto, Koji, Boruto, and Ada. Now, you could argue some aspects for Kawaki because Boruto told him about the limiters thing, but he's not considered like a singularity of fate. He's probably in that similar realm as Shikamaru for now, anyway.
Yeah.
That being said, Boruto needs help now. And I don't think it'll be Kawaki who flies over from the Leaf Village or he teleports over after getting his limiters off, which, as of right now, he still hasn't, and Alberto doesn't even want to do it. And they've also set that up for, like, endgame things in terms of Boruto and Kawaki's team up. They should be teaming up against Jura as the final fight, not teaming up now, because in order for Boruto to not die, they need to win because Jura isn't leaving. Exactly. And if they don't win in their team up, then Boruto dies.
Yeah. Well, let's also not forget that Koji genuinely believes that Boruto's just straight up screwed. Like, he's going to die. Like, Koji's like, yeah, it's without a doubt. So that means it's going to have to be a singularity of fate. So let's keep in mind that the Jogan isn't activating, because if it wasn't, Koji just would have seen it. Momoshiki's isn't going to come out for the same reason.
Unless they want to pull real quick. Unless they want to pull some bullshit. The Jogan's immune to tender.
I know.
Miss me with that bullshit, man. That's just ass writing. You know why? Because now it opens up the door for every single time Kochi says the bad thing's going to happen. Oh no, the Jogan or whatever else is immune to 10 directions. They don't even write 10 directions anymore at that point.
That doesn't even make sense for how 10 Directions functions, because I think I mentioned this even later on. 10 Directions sees like every type of like Otsutsuki. It sees Ada, it sees Momoshiki or all the other Otsutsukis or whoever, Ishiki. It's seeing Jura as well. So it's not like anyone's immune to 10 directions. Everyone is seen in the exact way that.
Yeah,
it
that's
actually
they're gonna
comes to
say
pass.
it's because the Jogan Shiba, even though the claw marks are Shibai's power too, and omnipotence,
Well, yeah,
everything
but
else is Shibai's power. But they're gonna say it's
Shinjutsu
the
is still
Jogan.
seen.
It is Shibai, and he's immune. It's so stupid.
Yeah, so we know 10 directions sees Shinjutsu. So again, if they're gonna say that's the reason the Jogan's not seen because it's a Shinjutsu, oh well, no, that again, that doesn't change
And again,
anything for 10 directions.
omnipotence is the Shinjutsu of Shinjutsu.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, Ada should have a power beyond the Jogan. If the Jogan is beyond the Shinjutsu of Shinjutsu, I'm dropping this series. I'm already, the moment I see the Jogan, probably going to happen. So
Yeah.
let's make the Jogan nothing more than it needs to be.
Last thing I'll
And
say.
I'm sorry for the rant, but I'm sorry, guys. The Jogan should just be like Kawaki eye level. That's it. Like, honestly, he's going up against Kawaki. What does Kawaki have? He's got Kawaki, his ninja attack, which is basically going to replace his ninjutsu that he stopped using. He's got Karma and that eye. What does Boruto have? He's got ninjutsu, which will be the counterpart to the ninja attack. He's got Karma, and he's got either the Byakugan or Yogan in that scene. So the eye should match the eye.
Yeah. I also want to just clarify the functionality of 10 directions. How it works is it shows you the branching paths, and the paths branch at wherever a choice is made. Boruto, like activating the Jogan isn't like a choice that is like a singularity of fate thing. Like Boruto, as far as we're aware, doesn't even know he has it. So it's not like that is going to get around 10 directions either way. Like there's
if
no
it does,
choice.
it's just stupid. It's just some stupid nonsense. The Jogan's immune. Why?
But again, like that's
They're gonna
why
come
I
up
think
with
it
these.
shouldn't be able to be immune, because immunity would go along with like choices from singularities of fate rather than Jogan somehow. It's not how it's
Exactly.
described.
Or some people have theorized that Himawari is immune because when Boruto's kind of surprised that they're going after Himawari. But I think that was just more like Boruto being like, okay, they are going after Himawari. Like, or maybe Koji didn't tell him that part or something.
Yeah, because in my opinion, and we'll get into this later, is that the fact that Boruto doesn't know about Uzuhiko, Koji is making him as minimal of a singularity of fate as possible just to keep things like simple for himself.
Even Boruto, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think Boruto like knows that and accepts that and like wants that to be the case in a way. But anyway, so similar to the Jogan, I don't think it's activating because Koji would have seen it. Similar to that, Momoshiki also just isn't coming out for the same exact reason. And in addition to that, Boruto, regardless of 10 directions, Boruto just wouldn't let that happen anyways. And from last we've seen anyways, ignoring the prophecy arc where it's just wildly, randomly, incoherently inconsistent, Boruto just seems to be in control of Momoshiki, and I don't think Momoshiki, because Momoshiki hasn't taken over the past 3 years, I don't think he can, or definitely not permanently, at the very least. I think Boruto needs to despair or something. That's just not happening. Momoshiki's, I think,
because like if
intentionally been
Momoshiki can and he's just waiting for the right time, I just don't see why, like, I don't know, chapter 13 wasn't the time.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Or, like, hypothetically, whenever he beat up Kawaki and activated Boruto's Karma Seal.
Exactly.
Like,
Momoshiki gonna come out, and Kochi was worried about Momoshiki coming out in that moment too. But it's implied that Momoshiki was about to be able to, but wasn't because Boruto got away in time.
Yeah, Kawaki's sitting there practically half knocked out on the ground, can't attack as his limiters. Borushiki just makes a portal to the Ten Tails. Actually, no, I technically he couldn't do that because Jura is the Ten Tails, but I don't know, he could probably go to the Ten Tails dimension, give him to the divine tree or something.
Feed him to the Ten Tails behind Jura's back.
He'd figure something out. But either way, did you want to do this next part?
Oh yeah. We kind of just described this, but
yeah.
Boruto clearly isn't a singularity of fate beyond, and I'm just going to slightly revise this, beyond what Koji's told him. And as of right now, we know that extends to the things relating to the Sand Village. Boruto going to the Sand Village right now was an action that resulted in him because of him being a singularity of fate and understanding without directly being told that Konohamaru is probably going to die, which is why he went. So now he's breaking things because of his singularity of fateness. But he doesn't know beyond basically Konohamaru dying because he apparently didn't know that Uzuhiko wouldn't work, and he seemingly doesn't know how this fight's going to go other than he's supposedly going to die, and he doesn't know what to do. Koji clearly didn't give him the breakdown, the scene-by-scene breakdown. Otherwise, Boruto's stupid.
Yeah, what I was meaning by that top paragraph, because I just couldn't figure out another way to word it, I actually clarify that in this sentence here. Being a singularity of fate obviously only applies up until the present moment catches up to the future you knew would happen. And so what I mean by that is Boruto was told what's going to happen if he goes to the desert, and as far as I'm aware, outside of the worst possible future, which he only knows of its existence, not anything actually about it, in my opinion. Well, besides, like, the same stuff that we know. Like, he doesn't know any specific things beyond that.
I mean, he might know a couple more things, but he definitely doesn't know the play-by-play out of every little thing.
Yeah, but the point is, like, that obviously wouldn't affect this, in my opinion. He only knew up to what would happen if he teleports to the desert, Jura's gonna kill him. He doesn't know anything else beyond that, so now that the present moment has caught up to him teleporting to the desert, he doesn't have any other information that's, like, in the future, and so he's not a singularity of fate right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the only thing, I'm already ready to jump the gun. Next thing for you.
Okay, but this means Momoshiki also isn't a singularity because Momoshiki knows everything Boruto does.
A singularity beyond what Boruto is.
Exactly. So, and if Boruto's not a singularity because the present moment's caught up to the future he was told about, then Momoshiki also wouldn't be a singularity right now.
Exactly.
And so, this is probably why you want to jump the gun. So Koji's future sight should be accurate, and whatever Koji's intentions may be, he seems to genuinely think and be stressed over Boruto dying here and now. 10 directions being accurate just does apply to Boruto right now, as well as Momoshiki. Because that's not like Momoshiki would be able to see whatever happens because Koji would be able to see anything Boruto or Momoshiki would do, which is how Koji knows what happens in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but because Boruto's not a singularity of fate, the possible futures are minimized, which maximizes the likelihood that Koji is right as well.
And Jura is also shown in 10 directions, and specifically the Sand Village 10 directions vision that Koji's referring to, meaning Jura just, unless Koji is just lying and he's freaking putting on this beyond Amuro level act for Ada right now.
And his internal monologue.
In his internal monologues, yeah, exactly. Then Jura isn't going to just leave, surprisingly, unbeknownst to Koji. No matter what divine intervention bullshit Ikimono wants to write, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. And so it should just be a singularity of fate that is going to be the reason that this conclusion of the fight is just going to be different from whatever Koji thinks it's going to be. Because obviously it's...
And I want to add something real quick before you continue. Koji shouldn't be that singularity of fate because he has 10 directions. And I'm inclined to believe he would have been able to foresee, maybe not, but I feel like he would have been able to foresee a future where Boruto goes and Koji comes up with a strategy to, like, save the day.
Well, even then, let's just say that Koji has a strategy. He's definitely not executing it, sitting down on his bench, sweating and, like, crying to Ada.
Yeah. Unless that's the strategy.
Yeah, beggar to get Damon to go.
But he hasn't asked yet, which makes me think he's not going to be the one to ask.
But that also makes me think maybe Koji knows if he asks, it actually decreases the likelihood of Ada doing it, whereas if Ada comes to it on her own, that could be something. That could be cool. But Ada is the most, and in fact only prime candidate for that right now in terms of being the singularity fate to save Boruto.
Actually, I also want to I want to add on to this too.
Yeah.
So this arc, chapter 16, I believe, the beginning of chapter 16, so pretty early in the arc, they have a whole chapter dedicated to the singularities of fate. And that chapter made a point that there are three: Koji, Boruto, and Ada, because Ada just was going to be able to watch everything that happened anyway. So far, Koji's been doing a singularity of fate actions by dictating this Sand Village mission this whole time. So he's done the singularity thing. Boruto's behaved as a singularity of fate by telling Kawaki about the limiters and by going to the Sand Village. We don't know if the Kawaki limiters things was part of Koji's plan or not, but he's been doing things as a singularity of fate. One of which, at least, not behind Koji's back, but against Koji's will. That leaves the third singularity of fate, who so far hasn't done anything in this arc. You also notice the order of these. Koji first, Boruto second, Ada third. That's the order in which they each became singularities of fate.
True.
Makes sense to cash in on it by having the third singularity of fate do something as a singularity of fate.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And keeping in mind that Ada just doesn't want to fight because she views it as barbaric and dirty, and she doesn't want to get her clothes rugged or whatever. And also the fact that Damon does want to fight if it's a strong opponent, and especially, specifically, if Ada wants him to do it. So it opens the door for Mamushi to make a move as well, which again, just
which we all love.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely think this is most likely and the best direction for this fight to go in towards the conclusion. And again, that's again specifying the conclusion to say this is how the fight is going to end. You can do whatever you want before this moment. Again, like we were just discussing with the Neji rewrite, wherever that is, to where you can have Neji fight Data for however long you want. That doesn't need to, because that doesn't change the fact that Kakashi can still come in at the end whenever we want that to be and just have the same conclusion. Yeah, so,
and this technically applies to Kawaki.
Yeah, I agree.
Kawaki can't show up for the team up, and they can still lose before Damon shows up.
Yeah, but I say that because you can have Mitsuki stuff or whatever else.
Yeah, hopefully it's Mitsuki though.
Yeah, that's what I want as well. But this is what should decide the fight or the outcome. Damon showing up and beating up Jura.
Yeah, unless they just, okay, this sounds really goofy, but Damon tells Mitsuki to go back to protect Ada while he fights Jura.
Well, actually,
so Mitsuki can fight Mamushi.
That does okay. That is funny based on what you're saying. That does get into what you were saying about what you wanted with a Mamusha fight, and I think
so
what you're right could actually work. But I also agree with Mitsuki.
Also, by the way, can you send me this clip as soon as it'll be unlisted? Obviously, as soon as you get it clipped out, so that I can just reference it immediately.
Yeah.
But as I said, actually would like to make this into a video. It does work perfect in every aspect. I still think Code showing up would be cool. We've already mentioned this before, but if Code showed up and he's doing some trickery stuff to get to Koji, Jura recognizes that and leaves. However, Koji should be able to see Code showing up, because Code's not a singularity of fate. He knows nothing he needs to know to be out of the realm of Koji's vision. So Koji would just know if Code shows up. So the only way Code can show up is if Koji's lying. But if Koji's lying, he's lying to himself in his internal monologues. Same thing goes with Borushiki. Borushiki can work in some aspects as a consequence to Boruto showing up. Mm-hmm. But again, Koji should be able to see that. And unless Borushiki is the bad thing that gets Boruto killed, well, if that's the case, that's not really solving anything. So, moving on from that, you could argue Kawaki became a singularity of fate because of Boruto talking about the limits behind Koji's back. This requires that Boruto also secretly told Kawaki about the sand mission off screen. And I think that's possible, but did Boruto even know about the Sand Village mission yet? The specifics? I don't even know. And second, I mean, if he told Kawaki doesn't care right now. I don't know. He's busy talking to Abado. But does Boruto know how long it's going to take Kawaki to convince him? I don't know. There's too many factors here. I mean, I'll just agree that Damon just is the better choice. Especially because it gives Mamushi a reason to target Ada, because Damon wouldn't be there, and neither would even Mitsuki. Which either leaves Ada all alone to deal with Mamushi, which could either lead to Ada showing off her true powers if she really can fight, or being devoured by Mamushi if she really can't fight, or perhaps Kawaki takes on Mamushi with his new powers from Amado, um, because he just goes back to the apartment and sees all this. And this does work to show off Kawaki with, he doesn't have to fight Jura. He can fight Mamushi because we all know Mamushi was going to body him if he didn't get the limiters off. And Mamushi just is literally contending with Boruto in Chapter 4. So if Kawaki beats Mamushi, that puts Kawaki on Boruto's level, basically. So that shows up Kawaki. That being said, I'm not the hugest fan of Kawaki versus Mamushi because I just fear they're going to have Kawaki win, and then that's just that. Mamushi's dead. And I'd rather Kawaki's big fight be against someone more meaningful to him than Mamushi. Unless it's because he's fighting to protect Ada, but so far he hasn't really shown the greatest interest in that. But that would be really cool if he did do that. But I think the safer option is just Ada versus Mamushi, or Mitsuki goes back to fight Mamushi.
So I'm absolutely 100% down for Mitsuki versus Mamushi or Ada versus Mamushi. That second one would be even extra funny in my opinion. I would love Ada versus Mamushi. That being said, especially since Damon is getting some action, you might as well have Ada have like a simultaneous fight at the same time. That could be really cool to see the two the two siblings having the spotlight. That being said, I do think Kawaki would narratively work. First of all, if this happens, it's keeping Kawaki away from the desert, which is the last thing I want. I don't want Kawaki to show up right now to help Boruto versus Jura, just because the fans make me hate that idea more than anything. And so I'm totally down for him to remove his limiters and to prove how strong he is by fighting Mamushi, especially since we've already seen Boruto fight Mamushi, and we can compare Kawaki to Boruto in this way. That's an important aspect.
I just don't want Mamushi to be killed and gone. Like, I won't lie. It will be so cool on Kawaki's end if they do that sort of thing. Like, it will be cool. But, and I know this is us and really pretty much every fan. I think Mamushi is the one character that Twitter, YouTube, every single thing just collectively agrees on. We all like Mamushi. Yeah. He's a meme and a good meme. We all love him. And I just don't want him to die.
Yeah. So, that being said, I unfortunately don't think they should do Mitsuki. As much as we as fanboys would absolutely love it, it just, in my opinion, wouldn't make any sense in universe. First of all, he's actively on a mission far away in the Sand Village and was given instructions to go to the meeting spot with Konohamaru or whatever. Or like he's gonna fight off the Claw Grind. Meanwhile, Araya's gonna go to Shinki or whatever. But like he's noticing that Jura's gonna go to Konohamaru. Like there's so much others. If anything, just stick with the idea that we have.
If anything, he's gonna team up with Boruto instead of Kawaki.
Exactly, that makes way more sense in my opinion. And that's not even the fanboy in me of which I prefer. I think that just is way more likely. Because again, Kawaki's just in the Leaf Village and doesn't know about the Sand Mission, and also currently still has those limiters on. Like, it just doesn't make sense for him to go next.
And Mitsuki is in the Sand Village and doesn't know about Mamushi hypothetically teleporting to Ada.
Exactly. Why is he gonna, like, rush over from the Sand Village to the Leaf to protect Ada? As if Damon wouldn't just go back to protect Ada if he found out. He's probably faster than...
So, like, if Mitsuki... So, there's been other times where, like, Mitsuki's in the village at the apartment, or hypothetically, if he just wasn't on this mission, then sure, that would make sense. But because he is here, it just, we want it, but it doesn't make sense in universe for that to happen. Yeah. What makes the most sense is, like we just said, Mitsuki teams up with Boruto and Kawaki fights Mamushi rather than the other way around.
I mean, you've had Mitsuki in the village playing bodyguard for Ada literally the entire manga. This is the one chance you have to where Mitsuki is just away from the village.
And so would hypothetically Damon if he shows up.
Exactly, capitalize on it. This is the one opportunity. And also, especially, don't just make it coincidence or whatever, even if it technically is writing-wise. Have Mamushi comment on it. Damon's gone. Now I can finally make my move.
Exactly. I'll also add this too. So we don't know for sure if Shikamaru left Ada's apartment, but if he's still there is room for Shikamaru to be killed by Mamushi, and that becoming
Okay.
a problem for Koji because Shikamaru was a useful ally.
See, what I was thinking
Now, if
was
Shikamaru left, it is what it is. But
instead of killed, I mean, you could do kill either way. I was thinking that
devoured, whatever.
well, that I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking Shikamaru would be able to just to make it like plot wise make sense if Ada's just alone in her apartment and the Mamushi shows up and it's just Mamushi just confronts Ada. You could have Shikamaru show up and
it should just be the 1v1, just those two, because then it'll be the most creeped out. It'll force her to come out of her comfort zone, dealing with Mamushi. Because if Shikamaru's there, she's going to defer to him.
Yeah, I mean, so I do want that first thing first. You can have Mamushi go to devour Ada, and at the last second, Shikamaru's revealed through Shadow Possession. Like, Mamushi just stops moving, and this revealed Shadow Possession, then it's revealed Shikamaru. I think that's the way I would do it, and that way, just logically in universe, you can then have Shikamaru contact Ino to contact Kawaki, or whatever you do there to get people informed and Kawaki to actually come over, instead of it just being perfect coincidental timing as always.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way.
I agree. That would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, you can just have Shikamaru hold Mamushi there for seconds, minutes, however long you want it to be. He can even like lose control, like it's battle versus Taiyuya, just to show Mamushi's strength, but either way.
Or Mamushi has some special counter, he absorbs it via whatever mechanism.
Yeah, either way. So I think that's just the way to do that. I think that makes sense. Again, I think just everything is leaning towards this being the best way to do it and the most likely way to do it as well.
But that's also why it's the least like.
I mean, it definitely makes a lot more sense than Mitsuki rushing back and Kawaki rushing over. Like, what, are they gonna, like, high five on the way, like, halfway in between, like, on the border of the land of fire?
No, it's... Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make much sense, but, like... And I also don't... Okay, so this one can make sense, but it's just coincidental timing nonsense to where Kawaki gets the limiters off, so he goes back home, and then Mabushi just happens to show up after Kawaki got back. It's
you could do that as well, I agree. Either way.
But I don't like that as much.
I mean, what I'll say is that Mitsuki has been there the entire manga. Again, this is the one opportunity he's got. But, like, if you did want Mamushi versus Mitsuki, you literally could have just capitalized on this anywhere else before or after. This is the
so
one
many times, I know.
The one time they shouldn't do it. Just, like, now.
Yeah, and if they were going to do it, then Mamushi should have shown up with Jura so that Mamushi could find Mitsuki. Like.
In fact, well, he did show up with Jura. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything. So that's absolutely what I think.
I really actually want the Mitsuki Boruto team up, though. I want to see Mitsuki do something cool with the Jura fight.
Yeah.
Which could actually be a segue into your next point, which I commented on if you click on it.
This one?
Scroll up slightly.
Okay, this one?
There you go.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kamui, why doesn't Sage Mode attacks work against Ten Tails, Jinchuriki, Shinju, and Boruto in Tuba Vortex? Like, was it specifically that it was an Obito thing in particular? Does it only work on Jura and not the other Shinju? Is that what they're going for? Because if so, that makes no sense, and their body composition is the same. Like, we could definitely get into that. That's what it worked, in my opinion.
Definitely the same, yeah.
Is this Boruto Ten Tails different from the Naruto Shippuden one? And if so, does that even matter? And that's in reference to, like, the nature energy, unfathomable nature energy. It's been on the earth for, like, thousands of years, as opposed to Jigen's Ten Tails. It might just be different in general, but like there's multiple different areas you could go there. I mean, could it just be that it just hasn't been revealed yet and it is going to be an upcoming plot point? Maybe they will take advantage of that as an idea? Or did Ikimoto just forget? Because Mitsuki is literally right there as the only Sage Mode user, and nobody has mentioned it, and obviously it isn't just Jura, but they planned to fight Ryu and Matsuri in the Sand Village. So they kind of had prep going into this, and they know this. Like, they were in the war. Like, At the very least, the adult Shikamaru should know. So Sarin and Konohamaru have just both been beating up Shinju. So it's like, what exactly are they doing with Mitsuki, who seemingly has a disadvantage in a Sage mode, worse than Araya? The one guy who should be able to do something. The one guy that can't.
Yeah, so now you've got my response. Yes, Ikimono definitely forgot. But the real reason is yin yang release. Nature energy just works against it. My theory. So, real quick, I'm gonna kind of okay. So it's fine for Naruto to think this, but I do think the story should have made it more clear because I think Naruto's theory is just wrong. Naruto's theory is maybe you need to fight nature energy with nature energy. I think that's just wrong because not like Pain needed nature energy to like stab Naruto in that fight or anyone else who fights. Not like Sasuke needed nature energy to fight Six Path Sage Mode Naruto and so on.
Pain couldn't
Just,
stab Naruto when he was in Sage mode. He broke the black rods.
yeah, when Naruto hit them, but if Pain just backstabs him, he can. Naruto's not immune to being stabbed. Naruto was being
no, I disagree.
prepared.
I disagree. Remember, Naruto fell on the rocks and like he had no idea when he was in Sage mode, and the spiky rocks at Mount Myoboku, and like Naruto was surprised that the rocks just did nothing.
Okay, but Naruto also stabbed himself with a rod.
I think that's different.
Maybe, but I mean, either way, Pain could damage him. If you want to say the rods can't.
Well, what?
Super Tensei, you said ow.
Okay, sure.
or again, Sasuke was hurting Naruto. Like people have hurt Naruto when he's in Sage mode.
Yeah, well, that does ruin my perfect Sage mode agenda, but either way.
But, my theory anyway is that I just double checked. So the whole Obito thing in the first place is his Truth Seeker orbs nullify ninjutsu, and this is why I wanted to double check. Obito's body just regenerates the damage. He has regeneration like Madara. So you see him healing sometimes, like he just heals the damage from like Amaterasu, whatever. While the Truth Seeker orbs that whatever blocks it, just blocks it, no damage. But Obito himself has to heal any damage inflicted on him. And he also kind of just gets rid of Amaterasu somehow. That might be the ninjutsu nullification thing. But anyway, he has yin yang release, which you can nullify ninjutsu. So what is yin yang release? It is like the Kekkei Genkai of chakra, basically. It's yin release and yang release used at the same time, Kekkei Genkai style, rather than mixing the chakra. So my theory is that nature energy isn't spiritual or physical energy, or at least not in the same form of physical energy that's within a living body. So yin-yang release only nullifies things based on physical and spiritual energy. Anything with that, it nullifies. Anything that isn't that, it doesn't nullify. So baryon mode energy probably wouldn't nullify it. Nature energy doesn't nullify it. Boruto's centrifugal forces probably doesn't nullify that, and so on. Where it gets a little, where it gets a little bit weird is the True Seeker Orb thing. So it's really yin yang. What I just said. Obito nullifies ninjutsu with yin yang release. So if you have something that isn't physical or spiritual energy, I think that works. The problem is 99% of the verse is based in physical or spiritual energy. There's like baryon mode, centrifugal forces, nature energy. These are the exceptions to the rule. But I think those are what work. All that's to say, when it comes to Momoshiki, I guess bro just doesn't use yin-yang release. Ishiki just doesn't use yin-yang release, and so on. Jura just doesn't, maybe he does, but seemingly doesn't use yin-yang release. He might be, maybe that's why he's just tanking everything with no damage. I don't know, but Chidori's definitely not using yin-yang release, considering that Chidori's blowing his body up.
Yeah.
So that's my
So
explanation. But the problem is, I don't think Ikimoto's fucking thinking of any of that.
I agree. Absolutely.
Bro either forgot how the tail beast bomb works, or is being smart in writing Juras to be unique. One or the other.
Okay. So, what was your interpretation for Tintel's Obito being impervious to ninjutsu?
Yin Yang release.
But like, okay, I'm gonna need elaboration beyond that and beyond explaining how yin yang release works. Like, was he amping his physical body with yin yang release? Like, how does that work? Like hypothetically,
It just
Haku couldn't just like coat himself in ice release.
all we really have is what Tobirama says. I suspect this guy is using jutsu based on shadow and light styles that know all ninjutsu. It's just like a thing that you can do. Remember that the sage thing with Madara
Yeah.
Amaterasu theory that he had?
Okay, so
Same idea.
do you think that
You
Obito's like
just there's like
reacting
a
to it?
thing you can do with Yin Yang release to nullify ninjutsu. We can just make up the jutsu called the Jutsu Nullification Jutsu, which is it's a Yin Yang release technique that nullifies ninjutsu.
Okay, so it's not that he's immune to ninjutsu. It's that he can disable any ninjutsu that touches his body.
Yes, because we see, here,
So for example, I would
I
say
can't quite. Okay, so I'm gonna take a screenshot. Or
sure.
actually,
So
I'll
I
take a
would say
I'll just
someone
take a
immune to
page.
ninjutsu wouldn't care that his entire body is coated in Materasu because it's going to do literally nothing to them. As opposed to
Exactly.
Tintel's
So
Obito, you would say that it would burn him, but he's immune to it in the sense that he'll just disable it.
exactly. So there's two things here. I've actually sent you the before too. Um, so I sent you the after first. So here's just the page before at the end of the last chapter. So the second one's the first one.
In chat.
Yeah. So you just blatantly see the bottom one. He's hit by Amaterasu. It's on his chest.
Yeah.
Then you go to the next one, which is the previous page I sent. And he actually, let me even do this. Another image that
That's
comes.
weird.
Okay, we're going all over the place. I'll send you the image that comes right before that one too.
Okay.
So he swoops in. Go to the bottom. The Truth Seeker orbs. He puts them inside the Amaterasu. He swoops them in, and now go to the original first page I sent. And then the Amaterasu is dragged off him. And I don't know what you think here. It kind of looks like he has to heal some of this damage because he looks drawn as if he's been damaged a bit.
Like down
So
here.
I think he's healing. Yeah.
Huh.
So that tells me, obviously, Obito can heal. He used his Truth Seeker orbs, which have Yin Yang release in them, to get rid of the Amaterasu. Which kind of, you could argue, is an implication against the Madara Amaterasu thing, because Obito has Yin Yang release, undoubtedly, can nullify ninjutsu, but he specifically used his True Seeker orbs to do it. He literally dragged him back.
Okay, yeah. That's
Because look,
interesting.
we hit him before he could defend himself with those black things. And he did it after the fact with the black things.
So what exactly do they say about when they're fighting Tintel's Madara, and I think they say they need to use taijutsu against them because ninjutsu's not going to work?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing I want to come back to, is to just double check.
Because what I'll say, they say the same thing about Momoshiki at the end of the Momoshiki arc, but obviously that's in reference to him being able to absorb jutsu.
Yeah, exactly. It was in reference to that. Momoshiki was killed by a ninjutsu.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not know the ninjutsu.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go see when Guy does the seventh gate. Okay.
But it definitely feels like they're trying to want to say that their bodies are impervious to ninjutsu, even if they
Yeah,
aren't.
so he says, Minato says, that's right, only senjutsu works against them, as well as physical attacks such as taijutsu. So, to be honest, I hate to say it. Part of it is, I'm going to justify it. A part of it is, I think Kishimoto was being a little bit oopsie there. Because technically, based off Obito, ninjutsu does work against him. The problem is, he will just use True Secret Orbs to get rid of it, the ninjutsu. But my issue is, if you just hit him with a Rasengan nice and quick, he can't, after the fact, undo it with True Secret Orbs. He's just going to
Exactly.
heal the same way as when you punch him.
Yeah. So does he
So what you need
heal
is fast ninjutsu. Just don't use Amaterasu.
when Tobirama teleports Naruto to hit Tintel's Obito with the Sage Art Rasengan? Does he heal that ever?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he heals it. I mean, I'll just check and see what his damage looks like.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that probably should have done more damage than it did, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, he literally heals it right after.
Okay. I mean,
Also,
that's
it's funny the color manga. They've got like red for this blood on it.
that's kind of weird. It feels like there's almost no point to even like write in the Sage Mode thing. To an
I
extent.
agree.
I feel
The
like to
Sage
say,
Mode
okay, I'll
thing
be honest.
really is just for the True Secret Orbs.
Yeah. But like for the
Because
body, I feel like the reason it's written in there for the body is because of Amaterasu. It's just Kishimoto's way of riding around that. But I feel like they could just do whatever happens with literally every other instance that Amaterasu is just taken care of. Just glob it off.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what Obito does with the True Secret Orbs anyway,
Exactly.
basically.
So I don't understand what's the point of even writing then.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the whole point of the Sage Mode is your other options would either be basically what they do in the guide fight, outspeed or Kamui, the True Secret Orbs, which, I mean, Kagashi's there, so they could have done that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, Kakashi wasn't there yet. He was in Kamui that whole time, so I guess there's, yeah, or use nature energy. But technically, yeah, like, Kishimoto was capping. If they just had Minato use Flying Raijin to land for Sengans on Madara, it would have worked without Sage Mode. It was just Madara was being too good. So they were going to need 8-gate guys regardless, but saying Taijutsu, no, that's just wrong.
I agree.
Taijutsu was equally bad against the True Secret Orbs, too. If anything, it was even worse. You die if you touch them.
Going for a kick, it's just everything up through your knees, just dust.
So literally, like,
It reminds me of like when the Raikage was trying to drop kick Sasuke in the 5 Kage Summon arc, and the Gar like interrupted it. Imagine if he just didn't. Kind of like that.
So, some of this ninjutsu nullification stuff makes no sense. It doesn't inherently make no sense entirely, but there's a couple of like a little bit weird things with it. Anyway, it is the True Secret Orbs. All these characters afterwards aren't using True Secret Orbs, so it doesn't apply to them. Why can't Nobushiki use them? I don't know. His chakra fruits suck. Kage can use it, but then again, she is the Tentails. I don't know why the Tentails has it. I don't know, to your question, if the Boruto one's different, because golly, they haven't mentioned once that it's nature energy. I don't know, Meryl.
Well,
Hidari has the same chakra signature as Sasuke, not the same nature energy signature.
Let me throw something at you. Let's just say that you only unlock the Truth Secret Orbs once, and that's when you first unlock Six Paths powers. Because there is like a data book scan that says something like that. It's comparing it to like a rose flourishing or like a rosebud blooming or whatever.
Yeah. Blossomed.
Yeah, blossom, the Six Paths power. Thank you. So what if Momoshiki just like blossomed its powers
Just
like
lost him.
thousands of years ago and lost him exactly? Possible.
Yeah. The problem though is Kaguya just made an expansive truth-seeking orb out of nowhere.
I mean, whereas she also like sort of used her body or whatever. It was like weird, and she just is the Tinta. It's just weird. It's shenanigans.
Yeah.
There's shenanigans there. Because it's not
But
like she
that
could
is a
just do that
possibility.
normally, in my opinion. I don't think she could do that normally. I think it's because the Tintel's chakra was disrupted.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
The other thing though is, let's say, Momoshiki did lose him over time. Who the fuck did he lose him to, man? Like, he really lose it to Grandma Josephine without chakra on planet XYZ? Like,
Yeah.
really? You really lost your Chuseek orb to that? Bitch didn't even have Senjutsu. But Ishiki doesn't have it.
It is possible the Otsutsuki's like spar with one another to train or something. It's possible.
That goes against the whole creed that Momoshiki is telling Boruto about and all that.
I don't know.
Now, of course, Ishiki and Kinshiki seem like they trained, but it's probably mostly just a Momoshiki thing, the whole not training thing. But
okay, but if Kaguya stabbed herself with a bone seeker, what was it? The bone ash? I was trying to combine Truth Seeker with bone ash. If she stabs Ishiki with a bone ash, she stabs herself with a bone ash. I don't care which version of herself it is. It's just killing herself, and so she doesn't have to.
Exactly, it doesn't make. She couldn't have stabbed Ishiki with them, or else Ishiki would have died. Unless Ishiki got stabbed in the legs, and then he himself chopped off his lower body to prevent the rest of it from disintegrating, or something like that.
Exactly. That's what I've been
but
going with.
But Kaguya wouldn't have stabbed Ishiki in the foot. She would have stabbed him in the middle of the back. Which means he wouldn't be able to do that.
I mean,
why is she aiming for his toes?
I mean, it's pretty much where Ishiki was cut off from. So Ishiki could have just done it really quick.
Let's go look and see how much of Ishiki's body he had.
I mean, it's like his upper. It's like
half of them. It looked pretty halfy.
It is. Yeah, it's like I would say around his belly button. Maybe slightly above that.
Okay, so did Kaguya stick the bone up his literal butt cheeks? Like,
well, you say that as if the bone ash just like immediately eviscerates you. It takes a second to even begin ashifying you.
No, but the point is where she stabs him is what's important. If he has his belly button up, she has to have stabbed him below the belly button for him to do this chop himself in half method.
Well, she could have just stabbed him belly button around there.
What?
She could just stab him around the belly button. And if he cuts off around the belly button, that works.
That's such a weird spot for him to stab from the back, I feel like. I don't know.
I mean, look at where...
it just feels low.
Look at where Zetsu stabs Madara. It's probably around the same area.
No, he stabs him like in the chest heart area.
Yeah, you're right. But besides, isn't Ishiki taller than Kaguya anyways? And look at like the E2 Brutus scene. Like they're stabbing him in the gut.
We don't have a data book at Ishiki's eye.
Well, she's probably aiming for like a spleen or something. I don't know. I see no problem with it. Like, it doesn't have to be the butt. It can be the lower back. I think that's a normal position to be aiming at. It'd be weird if she was stabbing at his, like, shoulder or something.
I was thinking, like, the chest heart area. At least upper stomach. I don't know.
It doesn't have to be the exact middle. If anything, I'd say it'd be easier to go a little bit lower than a little bit higher. Or, like, middle.
I don't know. They're never gonna freaking show us this flashback anyway, so. Kadachi flashback, that's why.
Yeah. That's why it's good.
Don't want to know why Jigen has karma on his chin, though.
I posted a community poll of Hagoromo versus Ishiki just for the chaos. There were so many people in the comment section that were saying, well, Kaguya beat Ishiki, and Hagoromo beat Kaguya, so Hagoromo beats Ishiki!
Way to ignore Hamura, first of all.
I just love the argument. So stupid. Ignores all context.
That said, I can make ridiculous argument. Kaguya is the Tentails. Hagoromo absorbed the Tentails, so he absorbed Kaguya, so he gets a Kaguya level amp
And he still
to
loses.
Hagoromo. Wow. Not necessarily.
Considering Sasuke's confident he can take out Kaguya, and then Momoshiki was
Sasuke
strong.
can just be wrong.
He fought Kaguya.
He fought Jigen. Thought he could beat Jigen.
He had never fought Jigen before.
He fought Jigen Karma 1. Stomp pull Karma 2. Thought he could still win.
He had never fought Jigen before.
Were those novels written by Kodachi?
Which ones?
The one where Sasuke says he can take out Kaguya level threats?
I don't even know which novel it is.
Well, if it's written by Kodachi, then I'll go with it. If it's not, I'm going to use that argument.
Okay, Bello.
Well, no, the reason I'm using the argument is just because it's not Ikima.
That's funny. Someone in Rain server said that one of the video games implies that Kaguya was stronger than Momoshiki, but like I don't know what they were referencing.
I don't know.
I thought that was kind of funny. But either way. Do we want to do another topic, or are we ending? Because either way, I have to go to the bathroom. So might be a good place to end.
Let me see if there's anything we skipped.
Is there anything you want to do tonight?
We could talk about, real quick, one or two of these. Okay, so there's the Damon controlling his future power sensing thing, and then the destiny thing.
No. Damon controlling his future power? Where's that?
Just go to Boruto topics.
I'm there.
Just scroll up like a little bit. Just scroll up, be above your singularities. There you go. Okay, there. Okay. So there's these two.
Okay.
So this one was silly, but similar to Ada with omnipotence. Now, ignore your Ada omnipotence thing. Just go with the series' explanation so far. Similar to Ada with omnipotence, is Damon unable to control his future power sensing ability? Is that why he sensed Himawari's future power randomly in Chapter 77 but didn't notice anything in Chapter 11? And is that why he sensed the planet spinning in Chapter 3 from a long distance but not Boruto's way bigger Uzuhiko versus Hidari or Himawari versus Jura? Inspired by a Discord message in my Discord.
So, as you can tell by my react emojis, I was not too fond of this idea.
But let's not talk about whether we like the idea. It's about whether we think this is something Ikimoto will do.
Which perfectly correlates to whether or not we like the idea.
So what you're saying is
Ikimoto will absolutely do it, yeah.
Alright. Next one.
I mean, well, real quick, I guess to comment on it more, I just don't like the idea of Damon having this weird limitation in this weird way. In fact,
it seems so weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if anything, I'd prefer if Ada just can't control her omnipotence than if Damon just can't control his sensory abilities of the future.
I know, it's so, no, I'm like, wow, it's so weird, but like, it would explain the inconsistency that shouldn't be there in the first place.
And you know I've argued that I don't even think Ada can't control her omnipotence, so we don't even need to get into that.
Okay.
So, even
but
more
Oodie,
reason to be ridiculous.
About Destiny.
Yeah.
We all know we hate the prophecy arc. But Boruto quote-unquote overcoming Destiny isn't earned. Because Boruto didn't do anything. It was Sasuke and Sarada who changed Boruto's destiny, not Boruto. This isn't just a progressive plot point for Boruto to overcome later or whatever. This is the overarching plot point of part one. So, Oodie, imagine if Kakashi just did show up in time and brought Sasuke home for Naruto, who failed to overcome Sasuke himself. Imagine if Genma just disqualified Neji for whatever reason. Maybe Orochimaru convinced them to do so Naruto could fight Sasuke later. That's not Naruto earning his victory against Neji. It's Genma and Orochimaru doing it for Naruto. For a counterexample, Naruto summoned Gamabunta versus Gaara, something that required Naruto to use a lot of chakra and have the mental resolve to pull off. Boruto didn't do anything to convince Sarada or Sasuke. Sarada just was immune and just did want to help Boruto anyway. Sasuke just did believe Sarada because Sarada's his daughter and had nothing to do with Boruto, so he just was going to help Boruto regardless.
And then I responded by saying, Boruto's character doesn't even make sense for the overcoming destiny theme. Looking at Naruto, there is a reason for his first major hurdle as a character on his path was overcoming destiny. It literally works for his character and what it meant to represent to even be a theme for Naruto as a character in series. Why is it there for Boruto at all? Like, think about it. From Kishimoto's perspective, you're writing Naruto's character. What themes, central conflicts do you want Naruto as a character, written up to this point, to overcome? It could be about love. It could be, oh, I know, destiny. That works for Naruto's character. Alright, let me write Neji really quick, and let me have Naruto not only physically overcome him, but mentally overcome him to show that he's prepared to tackle his own destiny that's been against him from the very start.
Yeah, exactly. The point was the village hates Naruto. He's quote unquote destined to be hated because of the Nine Tails, and he's gonna overcome that.
Naruto wasn't fighting Neji in that fight, even though if that was his physical fight, he was fighting the concept of destiny.
So with Boruto, it's like, I know you can say it's the whole he's writing his own story and he's destined to be like Naruto. But the thing is, outside of Iwabe saying it in episode 2, they don't do anything with that.
Yeah.
Like,
and even then, Naruto's destiny was good. I feel like Boruto would want that to a degree.
it's also not what Momoshiki was telling him he was gonna be, so it's just a different thing altogether.
Yeah. So it definitely doesn't work for Boruto. It's just nonsensical, random, and weird. It's just throwing anything against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Like, unless you were gonna say Boruto's destined to be someone who gives up easily. But then I feel like the Momoshiki arc just showed you that he changed. So
yeah.
he doesn't seem to be fighting against that the rest of part 1. So
If he gave up easily, he never would have gone to save Naruto in the first place.
Exactly. And then, like, regardless, even let's say, oh, he starts to regress backwards in a tough battle, he's not struggling with this in the Ao arc or Kawaki arc or Code arcs.
Yeah. So,
it's a good point. I don't know why Destiny is related to Naruto's character.
To Boruto's character.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I do know why it's related to Naruto's character.
Yeah, I agree.
It's obviously intentional and purposeful to have Kishimoto write Destiny for a theme for Naruto's character. There's just no reason to do it for Boruto's character. That's not to say you can't do it, but why would you do it? So, there you go.
Because it's cool.
Well, with that being said...
Yeah. Ikimoto failed.
Okay.